views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
Whether she's walking the red carpet or doing interviews, you'll find her with celebrities and all the latest news. She's here, she's there, she's everywhere, she's always on the go. So sit back, relax, and get ready. This is the Corey Taylor Talks Show.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Corey Taylor Talks, live from Las Vegas. I am very excited about my guest today because we have, she's part of an amazing organization that really I think is so needed across the country, but especially here in Las Vegas. And she's the director for Las Vegas. So we have Miss Robin Smith with Refuge for Women. So yeah. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. So excited to be here.
Oh, we really are excited to have you. And like I said, I really think you guys are amazing, and what you do is so needed, and I don't think it's talked about enough, so I'm really excited to have you guys on so we can really talk about it.
Sure.
So why don't you explain what Refuge for Women is?
Sure. So Refuge for Women is long-term residential care for women who have been exploited by the sex industry. Yeah. So we serve women who have been trafficked as well as women who maybe found themselves by choice in the sex industry. And so we offer long-term residential care. In Las Vegas, we actually have 2 different homes. The first home is 9 months long, and that's the first step for the ladies who are coming out of the industry and want to get help. So in that home, they receive therapy for trauma, recovery, all those kinds of things that they need help with in their recovery process. So it's 9 months long. And then when they finish that program, they have the option of moving into our second home, which is 12 months long, and it's transitional living. Wow. So it's a total of 21 months of supported long-term residential care. So we're super excited about that. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. And so obviously it offers them a place to live, which helps tremendously for anyone trying to get back on their feet. Do you have like any type of classes or programs that you offer while they're there?
Yep, absolutely. Our whole thing is a program, so
Gotcha.
It's not just shelter.
Gotcha.
So while they're with us, especially the first 9 months, because that's our actual program, and while they're with us, they go through a very structured curriculum that really deals with all of the things that they have gone through and helps them to regain the tools and the confidence to be able to work through them and then to be independent at the end and to stand on their own 2 feet. So we touch on things like their trauma with licensed therapists who are trained in trauma-informed care. We do classes on boundaries, having healthy boundaries, having healthy relationships, codependency, addiction. 96% of our women have an addiction. Oh, wow. So that's a huge part of our recovery is helping them learn even coping strategies for that and you know what to do. So all of those things are built in there. Another huge component of the program is really understanding identity and self-esteem, because women who have been trafficked in the sex industry have had their identity completely ripped away from them. And so we start at ground zero and rebuild it and build it right back up. So that's a huge part of it. So actually our first 9 months is divided into 3 3-month phases, and each phase has 6 to 8 classes that they take in that 3 months. Wow. So there's a lot of things that we touch on and work through with them. And then also not even just the topical classes, but we also do job skills, job training, education, and all of those personal skills that they may or may not have been taught, from doing laundry to meal planning to grocery shopping to personal finance. So we kind of hit the gamut of all the things that they need. Our goal is that at the end, they have the tools that they need to be successful.
Exactly. So. And that's what's really cool. And I think that's what makes you guys probably so successful is it's really focused on everything and the job building or job skill building and everything. So it does set them up for a good life. Right. And if they really are, which obviously if they're in the program, they probably are already very serious about changing their lives for the better. But that to really give them all the tools they need. Right. That's incredible.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things. Stats tell us that a woman who's coming out of the sex industry leaves and returns between 6 and 8 times before they actually can get out and stay out. And so we love that about our program is we have a 75% success rate with the women who go through the program. Yeah, it is. It's crazy. But we really attribute that to we're holistic. So we don't just focus on one thing. We're,
everything.
you know, taking care of everything. So, yeah.
That's really amazing. And, you know, I like I said, I think sex trafficking and prostitution and everything, unfortunately, it's not talked about that much, and it's kind of a taboo. But especially sex trafficking is such a major problem. And, I mean, children are babies, unfortunately, are getting pulled into this. And that's all they've ever known, and they're literally slaves, some of them. And it's really a horrifying thing. And that, like I said, that's all they know. So when amazing programs like you actually give them an opportunity to change their lives and get out of it and start their lives over, I mean, that is so life-changing for so many people.
Yeah, absolutely. We see that a lot with the women who come into our program. Oftentimes, if they've been trafficked, oftentimes it began by a parent when they were a baby, and that's where they were exposed. And so you just think about that. If they've been trafficked for, you know, their entire life or a good chunk of their life, it's not going to take care of itself.
Right.
Even in our program that's 9 months long, it's like we're just getting started. Right. So that's actually why we started the transitional living home. We found that we've only had the first home, the 9-month program since we started in 2009. And we just, as local here in Las Vegas, we just saw this great need that the 9 months is awesome, but the women still weren't ready. And so we just pulled together as a community, and just this past July of this year, 2019, we opened the transitional living home.
Wow, so new. Wow.
It's brand new.
That's
great. So we have our first women living in there right now, and it's amazing. Like, they're doing great. They're doing so much better. And it's just having that support and that care. And we know, like, recovery from this is not going to happen overnight.
Oh, of course
it is
not,
a long-term process.
A lifelong, probably, unfortunately.
And so we want to be that kind of organization that is with our women for life. We say that all the time, like, you're stuck with us forever, so we're not going anywhere. So we want to walk with them for life, right? So we give them as much help and support as we can. So 21 months, we're real thrilled about that.
Wow. You really should be so proud of yourselves, because I am so sure it's changing so many lives. And actually, how many people have gone through your program in Vegas?
Right. So we opened the Safe House in 2015. We're a national organization, so we were the first location to branch off of our main office in Kentucky. So we opened here in Vegas in November of 2015. We've had 47 women go through our program since November. We've had 13 complete, so go all the way to graduation. And of those 13, they're doing great. You know, some have struggled a little bit, but for the most part, they're just doing great. And most of them have actually just stayed right here in Vegas. And so that's kind of cool, you know, like they've made this their home, and they've learned through the program and through the connections that we have for them, like how to have healthy community. Right. And so that's what's really cool. Like, we really do get to do life with them, because they graduate and then they're our friends. They're here. We're doing life. Yeah.
It's I'm sure it becomes a very close and personal bond with all of them, because I'm sure you guys really get to know each other and see the whole experience they go through and really learn their stories.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
That's great that you build the lifelong friendships, and then they have that support forever. So that's a great thing.
Yeah.
And how did you actually get involved with this?
Yeah, so my story's a little different, because my husband and I moved here from Michigan, and when we lived back in Michigan, I worked at a private Christian university, and for spring break, I would bring student leaders to Las Vegas to do like a week of service, a week of missions work, and we worked with different homeless ministries and all kinds of things for the week while we were here. And one of the organizations that we worked with was involved in human trafficking, and so that was like my exposure to this world. And every year we would come back, and every year the director of that program would challenge me to take it home and to do something in my own community. And I always had that wrong impression, like it's only in big cities.
Right.
It's not in small towns.
Right.
It's not in my neighborhood, that denial that
Exactly.
people live in.
Exactly.
And so one year she just really got to me, and I went home and said, okay, I've got to do something in my town. And so I started a ministry where we went into the strip clubs, and we just went in to love on the women and to let them know that we see them and that they have value, and just to kind of meet them where they're at, not any other ulterior motive other than to acknowledge them. And we would take them gifts, and it just became a really cool thing. We built great relationships with the ladies, and so that was really my first step in working in this field. And then 5 years ago, May will be 5 years ago, that we actually moved to Las Vegas, and then I met Refuge for Women and started volunteering in the Safe House, became the program director. So I was program director for 2.5 years, and then became the city director.
Wow.
So so I went from like the front end to the back end.
Right.
So working with bringing them in, and now keeping them,
Exactly.
So yeah. It's real
No,
cool.
that's really cool. And like you said, it is, like we said, you think of the big cities and Vegas and all those types of places, but it's truly everywhere.
It is.
And it's so horrifying, and you're hearing about it more and more. Sorry.
That's okay.
So this is national. So like you said, you're for Vegas, but do you know how many programs there are throughout the country?
Yep, absolutely. So Refuge for Women is a national organization. We have 7 locations. 5 are up and running, and 2 are opening in 2020. So we're just opening a house in Southern Cal, and then opening a house in Houston. That will be our 6th and 7th location.
Wow.
So we have 7 locations across the nation. So Chicago, Ohio, Kentucky, here in Vegas, Texas. I think I got them all. And then Southern Cal, and then the second one in Texas. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So kind of all over the
Right.
yeah.
And we work directly together, so it's really kind of cool because if somebody applies to the program from, let's say, DC, like we don't have to have a home in DC in order to serve them.
Right.
We work together, so wherever we have an open bed, that's where we put people. And so we tend to support each other, and we all are on the same page. And the programs are identical. So if you went to the program in Vegas or the program in Dallas, you would have the same program. Because we all do it the same way.
That's great. So then too, if someone maybe had to move or something, you can be in the same place. That's great.
We actually have done that before. We've had a girl who was in one of the houses, and maybe she left because she wasn't quite ready for the program, and a year later reapplied and then came to my program, and that happened for us. And we had a gal, one of our graduates, who was her second time through. But like I said at the beginning, a lot of times it takes 6 to 7 times before they get out and stay out, and so with her it was 2, so I'm good with that.
That's
2's better than 7.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, and like you said, especially if that's all they know in their whole life, or even when they were 18 or so, that's their life basically, and that's all they know for their adulthood, their childhood, everything, and it's a very tough thing to leave. And it's a scary thing, I'm sure, and we don't know their stories. I don't even want to imagine what some of them have been through.
Right.
But it's amazing that you guys are still there for them and show, like, even if it didn't work out this time, we are here for you. And then when you're ready, we're here.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And it's not as simple as people say, like, well, why don't they just leave? Well, that is, like, it's not that easy, right? There are so many factors as to why they don't just leave. And so there's no judgment, when somebody doesn't make it through the program or whatever, we get that. Yeah. Like they're dealing with stuff that we can't even imagine. Yeah. So we want to walk with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like you said, 47 women so far. I'm sure you've had amazing stories. Do you have one that really stands out to you the most, maybe, or one that really sticks out for you?
A couple, really, that always pop into my head when people always ask that. Like, can you tell me a great story? Yeah. But one of them that has always just been, like, right raw for me is one day at the program house. I walked out into our backyard, and one of our gals was sitting at the picnic table in the backyard, and she just looked like she was deep in thought, kind of thing. And so I went up to her and I said, what's going on? Like, I could tell there was something, going on. And she looked at me and she said, my mother's love was always enough until it wasn't. And then she just started telling me her story about how, she came from a super great family. We think that everybody who gets trapped in this, is been abused or foster care, which is very, very common. Like, I don't want to deny that, but sometimes it's healthy families, right? Yet, like, there's no predictor of who's going to be trafficked and who's not. And so she just started telling me her story about how she was raised in a great family. Her mom loved her to the moon, right? And so it was healthy, but for her, she never felt like she was enough. And she ended up turning to boys, ended up turning to drugs, and before she knew it, she found herself selling herself behind a dumpster for $20 so that she could get her next hit. And it was like, my mother's love should have carried me, but it didn't, because there was something missing. And so that was just a beautiful story for her, because that was the beginning of her journey, and she made it through our program and graduated. She stayed in Vegas. She's going strong. She's doing super well. And I just love that, because that's what we are all about, is like meeting you where you are and bringing you what you need so that you can make it through. So that's a really cool story for me. And then another one that I really love is, this just happened this year. I just one day got this random text from one of our residents' 13-year-old daughters, 14, and she doesn't live here. She lives out of state, and she graduated our program too. And then the daughter sent me a text and just said, "Thank you for giving me back my mom. I have the mom I never knew I could have." And that is just like, that is why we do what we do right there, to reunite those families and to take women who are very broken and give them back to their families very whole. You know, I love that. So,
Oh, that's amazing. And I mean, and that changed the daughter's life, I'm sure. I mean,
for sure,
everyone's life, the whole family. And I think that's really cool too, that like you said, some of these people don't come from broken homes. They can come from anywhere, and you just don't know what's going on in someone's head. There's so many mental health issues now that we're finally learning about and talking about. But I mean, you don't know what's going on with someone, and so when you guys are helping them so much, that's giving them back their person that they lost. So it's really amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's one of the coolest things that we get to do, is when we can see that family come back together and be reunited. Those are really special moments.
Yeah, and I believe you also said one of your graduates was writing a book. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. So Deanna wrote a book called Purchased, and it just was released on Amazon about 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And so it's a great book, and it tells her story. She actually graduated from our home in Kentucky, so not the Las Vegas home. But yeah, it's called Purchased by Deanna Lynn. And it's just a great story. But if you don't know a lot about this industry and like what it's really like for the women, I would highly recommend grabbing this book and reading it, because she's very vulnerable in the book, very raw about her journey and her struggle to even get out of the industry. So it really will give you a lot of information about just what they go through. And it really answers the question, why didn't you just leave? Like, okay, read the book and you'll understand that that's not an option. So yeah, it's a great book. So Purchased.
Okay, Purchased. Yeah, that sounds great. And I grew up in Vegas, so I mean, since I was a kid, I knew about prostitution and everything. And you know, my mom was amazing, and she always explained to us, like, it's so easy to judge someone and how they got there, but you really don't know what's going on behind them and their story, and so you can't judge them, and you just need to support them and really show that they are important. And like you said, that self-esteem thing is such a huge part of it, and especially, I mean, when they're sex trafficked, and they have pimps or whatever, they just knock down their self-esteem and make them feel like absolutely nothing and just garbage. So it's amazing that you guys are really showing them they do matter, and everyone is important, and this isn't the only thing for them. They have a choice and they have a chance in life, and I think that's great, and I think so many people can learn to love everyone and just support each other and really believe in them, and that helps so much. If you can't do anything else, just believe in someone.
Yeah, that's so good. And I love that you said like just to not judge them, but to just be able to be supportive of them. And you made me think right when you were saying that, like one of the things that our community here in Las Vegas could do is if you are a business owner and you would be willing to give somebody a second chance, to just call me, like partner with us for helping the women to find jobs, because so often when you've been involved in the life of prostitution, you obviously are going to have a record because it kind of goes with the territory. And sometimes that's a big hindrance in getting a job. So finding employers who will look past that and say, I'm not going to judge you and I'm going to give you a second chance and I'm going to believe in you would be amazing. So
that's excellent.
That would be a great way to partner with us, is to be an employer who's willing to give a second chance.
That's great. No, so please, if you know anyone, if you are a business owner, I mean, that's true. That would be such a huge deal for these women. So that's great. And so how can people support you guys and make donations? How do you guys not profit, but stay afloat? Like,
pay for it?
Yes, exactly.
Well, one of the things I love about Refuge is that it's totally free to the residents, so they don't pay a penny to do our program. And so we really rely on the private donor who believes in what we do. And the best way is to become a monthly donor, a monthly sponsor, because we can plan on that and you can budget on it when you know it's coming in.
Exactly.
And so that's one great way to become involved, is to be a monthly partner. And you can do that right through our website, which is rfwlasvegas.org. And then you just click on donate and it walks you through how to do that right there. So that's a great way. Other ways that people get involved is like doing drives for us. So if you think about it, when you have a house full of 6 women in one house and 6 women in another house, you go through those consumable products like crazy.
So
I'm sure. Drives for toilet paper, pantry items, shampoo, that kind of stuff. We always need that. So that's a way to get involved. Another easy way to get involved is to do a drive for like gift cards, because then, especially if it's like a Visa gift card, we just have it. Like if a resident needs something, we can get it because we've got those gift cards there to just go do it. So there's other ways to be involved, like personally on site, and takes a lot of training, and we don't just let anybody into the safe house. So, but we love that. We need volunteers, so that's great too. But as far as like financially supporting, those are the main ways to do it.
And I'm sure every little bit helps.
Oh, absolutely.
And like you said, just shampoo and everything, that does just go up like that.
Oh, so, So we just had a cool thing happen for January, because January was Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And so like Frankie's Uptown in Summerlin, they came on as a partner for January, where they gave a percentage of their sales to us for the month of January. If you ordered a certain drink, which they called the Refuge Rita, if you ordered that drink, then they gave us $4. So even little things like that become big things because you're a partner. And then you could go like from that extreme to a larger extreme where like a foundation becomes a community or a sponsor of us or a partner of us, and they help us, and all of that is how we stay afloat.
I think especially the big casinos and everything, we have so many here in Vegas. I think they better be supporting you guys.
There you go. Put that out there, Corey. I like that.
I think they better be doing that. Because, like you said, here in Vegas, it's known in Vegas. It's a very big issue here. And you know what? I think the big casinos, they can afford to do it. So I think they better be supporting you guys.
I love it.
But I'm sure every little bit helps. And, and anyone can help. And like you said, even volunteering, getting training and everything through you guys, that would be a great thing.
So if you're interested in that, we always post it on our website, but we quarterly have a new volunteer night where we do the training and get people involved. So it would be listed on our website, which is rfwlasvegas.org.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on. And is that the website mostly where they can find all the information?
It's all on there.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Everything from being a monthly donor to how to volunteer, and all the information about who we are and how our program works.
Perfect.
Yeah. And if you need help and you're, involved and you want help.
Let's talk about that. I was going to say, how do people, if they're feeling like they need this, how do they get in touch with you guys?
Absolutely. Same place. Through the website. Our application is on there, and you can fill out the application and it'll come to us. It actually will go to our national office, and then we screen it nationally, and then it will get sent to the location where they have an open bed. you know, so
Perfect,
that
yeah.
we can get you in as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for being on and really
Yeah.
for doing this. And
Absolutely.
like I said, changing so many lives. And I think really it's incredible and so needed. And I hope you guys get more support and the National gets more support and you guys can just grow and grow and grow because it's such a big problem. But with people like you, we can really put an end to it. Thank goodness. So,
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you so
Yeah,
much. And
absolutely.
thank you guys so much for watching. Please go and check them out. Support them in any single way you can. Like I said, just really an amazing organization. And just stop judging people and just support them and believe in them. And you don't know their story, and you don't need to know their story. Just really love everyone. And I think that's the biggest message here is just love and support each other, and we can get through this. So thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, never give up, always believe, and you'll achieve. Thank you. God bless.